We pick up the cars as they roar off the start line.
2, 1, and the 1985
World Rally Championship is into its final round, and here at Woollerton Park we see Timo Salonen, the 1985 World Champion, actually starting this stage in Woollerton Park. For the first time, the RAC Rally is actually starting right into a special stage, and so Salonen has, right through the gate, had to go against the clock. This, of course, is the Peugeot 205 T16, which has perhaps surprised the rallying world by taking the 1985 World Championship. Salonen the Finn is really into word go, and there's a huge crowd here at Woollerton Park to watch him. 94 miles an hour as he comes down to brake for this very, very tight left-hander, and then powering away.
He has gone.
Hannu Mikkola in the Audi, 43 years of age, vastly experienced. A regular racer on the British rallying scene. 7 times since 1977 has he been in the top 3. And Hannu Mikkola has won the event 4 times. Here he comes, 85 miles an hour, we see on the speed trap as he comes down into the left hand. Marco Alén, 34 years of age, and of course this car is most interesting because it has a combination of supercharging and turbocharging in order to try to eliminate the turbo lag which affects the turbocharged cars. Marco Alén has been with Lancia for 12 years, and so he's been very faithful to them. 95 miles an hour, 98 I see, as he comes down towards us, and I do believe that that's the quickest we've seen so far. No doubt where the loyalties lie. Here comes Tony Pond. The huge crowd very interested to see just how this Austin Rover Group car is going to do in the rally this year. Let's wish Tony Pond the best of luck, because if you recall last year his rally ended rather early, in fact on the very first stage. This is a fascinating car. Remember that this one is a normally aspirated engine, basically 3 litres. It develops 410 horsepower, so immensely powerful. It's light, and of course it's 4-wheel drive. Here we see the second of the Lancia Delta S-Sports. This is Henri Toivonen. Remember, he is also from Finland.
Turbocharger, of course, is notoriously idle then, and then the turbocharger progressively takes over and
sliding through the left-hander with the power down all the time, and the back end swinging out, but beautifully controlled there. 105, and that is the quickest that we've seen through the speed trap, turning through the left-hander, and there is no doubt on the evidence of this very first stage in the 1985 RAC Rally that we are going to see some very rapid Lancias. Marco Alén, already fastest in the first 3 stages in the Lancia. But now he locks up, as you can see, and has to go the wrong way, the wrong side of that lock. My goodness me, that very nearly was serious for Marco Alén. He could have damaged his suspension if he'd hit the lock. Kankkunen admits to having an exciting time on the Lombard RAC. And judging from the actions of the crowd, they are too. The Toyota Celica is just behind his teammate, the vastly experienced Bjorn Valdegaard. The privately entered Quattro of Per Eklund. It's known that he prefers the forests, whilst admitting that this is great for the spectators. He's on slick tyres and finds it very slippery. former world champion Bjorn Valdegaard. He's brought his Toyota into 10th overall at Chatsworth, but his uncharacteristic spin here will certainly cost him time.
Not yet had time to change it. Maybe wrong, maybe totally wrong.
The rotary engine Mazda RX-7 for Ingvar Carlsson. It goes off on this stage and is in any case having ignition problems, but he continues. Malcolm Wilson, he's really started well, 4th overall at the start of this stage. Malcolm's certainly adjusting to his new team. Western Park Special Stage, number 5. The Opel Manta 400 of Open Rally champion Russell Brookes. Russell is looking forward to developing the GM's new Astra 4S next year. Jimmy McRae in the AC Delco Manta. The very popular Scot is having a few brake problems, but nonetheless is having a tremendous battle with Terry Kaby. Of course, both of these cars are suffering, and here we see Kaby really suffering as he overcooks it through the left-hander. First one way, then the other. This, of course, is one of the disadvantages of the two-wheel drive cars. And Terry, I'm sure, will be wishing that he'd A, got four-wheel drive, and perhaps even a turbocharged engine to help him.
Speech House in the Forest of Dean. The Lancias had already shown that they were very brisk indeed, and the Peugeots were having a job to hold them. Both the Metros were on the leaderboard, with Malcolm Wilson going rather faster than Tony Pond at this stage, but only one Audi, that of Hannu Mikkola. But as the night temperatures dropped well below freezing, and the cars tackled the long haul through the Welsh forests, car after car fell by the wayside. As dawn broke over the forest at Troscoed, almost 50 cars had gone, including several of the top seeds.
Headlights blazing, Marco Alén in the Lancia led for most of the night until stage 15 at Riola, when he dropped to second place. The new leader of the Lombard RAC Rally, Hannu Mikkola. Troscoed, but he's not happy with his engine at all. World champion Timo Salonen in the Peugeot made progress up to second place, but a puncture and a spin drop him back to 5th. Kankkunen in the Toyota Celica struggles to stay in the first 10, but his teammate Valdegaard rolled out of the rally on the Lady Megan stage. The second Lancia spun at the same point, but Henry Toivonen survives despite a loss of engine power. Tony Pond has progressed from 10th to 6th, despite lighting problems and severe understeer. He was fastest on the Mailscut stage in the 6R4. Jimmy McRae in the Opel Manta 400 has survived the ditches and earlier brake problems to be 10th overall at Troscoed. In a real tussle with Jimmy McRae was Russell Brookes in his Manta until he spun out at Riola and lost 15.5 minutes. The Mazda RX-7 of New Zealander Rod Millen was up to 13th place before 2 punctures. Oh, what a night for Malcolm Wilson in the MG Metro 6R4. Light problems, a flying bonnet, 2 differential changes, and he's still lying 8th overall. Michael Sundström in the Peugeot 205 has consistently performed well. A few brake problems, but still, he's 7th. Carla Grundell, fastest in at least 3 stages, the Swedish driver ripped his spotlights off in a spin. He's lying 3rd. Fast downhill into a slow right-hander at Dovey. Number 10, MG Metro 6R4 and Tony Pond have received tremendous support from the many tens of thousands of spectators and rally enthusiasts. Number 3, Marco Alén, 4th fastest at Lanavan and 2nd at Meherin. He's now roaring along, fastest on both the Havren and Dovey stages. Kankkunen in the rear-wheel drive Toyota Celica benefits from the failure of others, but is running strongly in 8th overall, the leading non-4-wheel drive car. Hannu Mikkola was leading the rally at Troscoid, but that lead is shrinking from 51 to 43 to 21 seconds at Havren. Disaster strikes here at Dovey. Certainly the engine is sick. His first retirement in the Lombard RAC since 1979. What a canny drive from Per Eklund in the sole surviving Audi Quattro. 12th at stage 2, now 7th overall. Number 15, Michael Sundström in the British-entered Peugeot. 4th overall, despite less power than the works cars. Poor brakes afflicted Jimmy McRae earlier, but the AC Delco Opel Manta has kept out of serious trouble, and the Scottish Circuit of Ireland winner is currently 9th. Since Troscoid, Henry Toivonen has dropped to 5th with fuel problems. Then he roared back to 2nd, and throughout the rally he has stayed in the top 6. Russell Brookes is on one of his famous charges. From 20th, he's up to 16th and climbing. Timo Salonen, the 1985 world champion, will not win the Lombard RAC Rally. He coasts to a standstill with oil pressure problems. By some standards, Terry Kaby has had few problems. A puncture has not stopped him from moving up to 10th overall. Malcolm Wilson is up to 6th, despite very sore hands from the failure of the power steering. Quite a problem with 410 brake horsepower to control. 42, Phil Collins. He may not be far from hometown Pontrilas, but that's no consolation for this puncture. But he continues on the rim. Rear axle problems have not kept him out of 13th place.
Clear, it stays stopped and it'll be cancelled, okay? There's no more cars until everybody's back. Simple as that.
Right from the start, the crowd had been immense, and at Duffnant, the stage commander eventually had to close the stage because he couldn't get the spectators back off the track. Meanwhile, for the drivers, there's no doubt, conditions have been very tough indeed.
The conditions have been so bad, so muddy and wet and slippy, that we've just no way we can keep up with four-wheel drive. So really all I'm out for is to be the best of the rest.
We hope so too, but there are a few spectator problems as well today, I hear.
Yes, I mean there are thousands of spectators around, you know, there's some of them standing awful stupid places.
Marco, you seem to be having a textbook rally so far, leading solidly. Have you had any problems today?
No, today is no problem. Only have yesterday evening a little bit misfiring, but you know that's nobody knows still finding that problem. But okay, like in general, is no problem.
We heard there was a little bit of trouble with the gearbox.
Yes, I changed now in gearbox in Donington before last stage.
So you've serviced just before coming here?
Yeah, everything going well.
So 27 stages down, 38 to go, and after the only full night's rest in the entire event, 95 cars out of the original 155 came to the restart line in Nottingham on Tuesday. We picked them up at Clipstone.
Marco Alén reaches 130 miles an hour in the Clipstone Forest stage and is first to beat the target time. Tony Pond claims 132 miles an hour, even though the car is weaving on the special stages. Henry Toivonen in the second Lancia, trying desperately to close on Pond. The surviving Peugeot of Michael Sundström is the fourth competitor, quicker than this target time. The Quattro and Per Eklund still lying fifth. Kankkunen is fifth fastest on the stage and sixth on the rally in the Toyota Celica. Jimmy McRae's brakes are now okay, and he also has a new clutch, and he's still lying seventh. Terry Kaby claims an uneventful rally. The car's fine, but of course underpowered on these very fast stages. Rod Millen is loving it, and he's still lying in 9th place. Russell Brookes moves up from 12th to 11th on this Clipston stage. Glyn Jones from David in another Opel Manta 400. Pentti Aurikkala, he seems to have a flat tyre in the Astra GTE. Into the gloaming at Wycombe comes Marco Alén and his Lancia. This stage is 1.86 miles long, a short, hilly, twisty forest section. Alan's spin does not seem to have slowed him down. The 6R4 of Tony Pond and co-driver Rob Arthur. They lie second overall and certainly seem to be gaining over Henry Toivonen. The battle by Henry Toivonen to bring the Lancia back up into second place is fascinating. He's trying everything. Since the restart of the rally, he has been fastest 3 times and second fastest twice.
Tuesday's run was the long pull-up through Yorkshire and Northumberland to Carlisle. Marco Alén had hung on to his lead, Tony Pond had slipped past Toivonen into second place, and these three had now pulled away from the rest of the field. After only 3 hours in Carlisle, the drivers would have to strap themselves back into their machines and head out into the giant Kielder Forest and the Scottish hills. After Carlisle, conditions were appalling. Temperatures well below freezing and sheets of ice everywhere. Indeed, at the fearsome Ogre Hill on Wednesday, there was so much ice about, the stage had to be cancelled. Even at Castle Ur, the sunshine was deceptive. The ground is still deeply frozen.
Michael Sundström in the surviving Peugeot is electrifying spectators. What can the opposition do to stop the Lanciers? Alén seems to have a good grip on the rally, if not always on the road. The privately entered Audi of Per Eklund back with the powerful cars. And now controlled the sliding from Kankkunen, balancing the power and the traction. Henry Toivonen, he rolls right over onto his wheels on this stage and continues and only loses 20 seconds. Tony Pond admits after this stage that he can't do anything about the Lanciers at the moment. Terry Kaby shows what it's like on the ice. It doesn't go anywhere except downhill fast. Very frightening, he says. Andrew Wood in the Astra is catching Mats Johnson, only 2.5 minutes behind, or 1 puncture. Rod Millen and Brian Rainbow have an excellent run and are 8th fastest on Castle Ur. Mats Johnson once more, leading the Group A class. Ingvar Carlsson in the other Mazda finds it very different from the Acropolis which he won this year. Number 16 is this, Erwin Weber and Gunther Wanger, and they're 4th fastest through Castle Ur and seem to be getting quicker. Every spectator should be cheering Brian Wiggins in the little production Astra. He leads the class. Louise Aitken Walker again. She struggled at Reedsdale, but is now averaging 20th fastest on the last 5 stages.
All the drivers were having great difficulty. Alén and Toivonen went off. Pond lost 2 minutes in the ditch. It was Michael Sundström who had the most horrendous roll. Fortunately, neither of the crew were hurt, and spectators pushed the car back onto the track. But it was the end of the road for the British-built Peugeot, and clearly the conditions had become a major factor in the rally.
Tony Pond is chasing you hard. Do you think you're going to hold him off?
Well, I mean, who is chasing him whom, I don't know.
What do you think the prospects are like for the stages that now lie ahead of you?
Well, I hope that they will not be so icy and so sleepy, because it's very dangerous to drive secret rally when the conditions are like this. It's very, very dangerous. These cars are so fast that once exiting from the corner, if there is no ice, you will get so good speed that if the braking point is icy, it will never stop, and that gives troubles. So I hope the stages will be more dry.
Toivonen's prayers must have echoed the hopes of many other drivers, but the hopes were dashed. Snow lay everywhere.
The competitors are into Grisdale, a 17-mile-long stage full of twists, hills, and very, very slippery, as Kankkunen demonstrates. It was the infamous Kielder that cost Marco Alén 5 minutes and possibly the rally, though afterwards he was immediately fastest on the next 2 stages. Since stage 24, Per Eklund has carried the hopes of Audi in his privately entered car. He was second fastest through Rücken during the bitter cold night and third on 3 other stages. End of Grisdale, the very experienced McRae muttered, "That's bad in there, not at all for the faint-hearted." The popular Pond has won 3 stages during the night, Bushall, Walk and Twigleys, but he's chosen the wrong tyres for this stage. Despite only 2-wheel drive, Terry Kaby's Nissan has performed well during the night, but his near-side front tyre is deflating. When one of the service crew made an unscheduled stop to see his girlfriend, it saved Matt Jonsson's rally, because he was able to replace a broken gearbox. But now he's second in Group A. Rod Millen is still going strong, still slipping around. But of this stage, he says, "That's fun, let's do it again." Russell Brookes, in his desperate attempt to catch McRae, started the night with a puncture, spun in Withop and finished Grisdale with another slow puncture. Glyn Jones had only 1 pair of spotlights on Kielder, but he survived. Not so here. A classic winter accident, but understandable in these vile conditions and against the clock. Now the spectators and marshals are proving invaluable in helping Glyn restart. He's worried by a puncture and the fact that Andrew Wood in the leading Group Astra is now only 30 seconds behind. Henry Toivonen lost front-wheel drive, replaced a supercharger compressor and a gearbox. He says, "Even though it's as slippy as hell, I'm enjoying it." He should be, he's leading the rally. The 1800cc Astra GTE of Brian Wiggins from Clacton-on-Sea and Tony Shepherd from Marlow Bottom. It's still decimating the opposition in the showroom class. Just 1 accident just before Carlisle, but running well. Louise Aitken-Walker driving on her own Cumbrian home ground. She didn't enjoy it though. Absolutely diabolical. I hated it, she said of Grisdale, and you can see why. Toyota Corolla pairing of Aoki and Okanami get a tremendous reception for the spectators. Well, they did keep going, but one of his near misses, I fancy.
So, after one of the longest and toughest and iciest Lombard RAC rallies ever, the cars approached the finishing line in Nottingham. It created an immense surge of interest throughout the country. Not only the remote forest stages, but even the public roads were lined with crowds. There were banners hanging from shops and houses saying, "Go for it, Pondy." It was a rally dominated by the tremendous battle between two brand new cars, both of them untried and untested, both demonstrating there's going to be a battle royal in 1986. A brilliant and historic win for the Lancias, an immense fillip for British rallying for Tony Pond to take third spot, and some magnificent performances from the drivers in the two-wheel drive cars. Kankkunen in the Toyota, Jim McRae and Russell Brookes in the Opel Manta 400s. All in all, a tremendous climax to a tremendous rally.
Well done. A wonderful win for you. Oh, thank you. And for Lancia, how tough a win was it?
I mean, to win it's always tough and you need a lot of luck, so I can't say in few words how tough this has been, but you know my adventure on this rally. Once on the roof and few spins and so on, so it's been quite tough, yes.
Did you expect that you were going to win in the closing stages? Were you still thinking you would?
Well, yes, of course, near the finish I was hoping to win it. But the tactic was so that I wanted to learn the car and try to finish this rally, and never thought about to win, never.
It's been an extraordinary year for you, a broken vertebra earlier in the year, now a fantastic win.
A bit of British technology in there.
Well, I mean,
how do you
it
see
has to come someday.
Amazing result for
and that's the sort of win that you obviously hope for. But
well, I mean, first time out with this car and to win, that's a very nice feeling.
The stages through the night have been very slippery, haven't they?
Very, very slippery.
Can you describe what some of them were like?
I mean, it's so difficult to tell, but I mean, they've been slippy and dangerous, and it's been sort of do or die thing for me.